The battle for Gilneas is a resource-objective battleground. Much like Arathi Basin, the objective is to obtain the maximum number of resources by capturing nodes on the map. In Battle for Gilneas there are 3 nodes: Lighthouse, Waterworks, and Mine. There is no time limit, and the first team to obtain 2,000 resources is the winner. As in other rated battlegrounds, the res timers in Battle for Gilneas are 45 seconds at their maximum. You can also be faced against your same faction here, and as such, should be careful to avoid becoming disoriented by the scores or your location. Let your leader worry about the scoreboard and focus on the objectives at hand. It takes 7 seconds to capture a flag, with another 60 seconds to secure it and begin collecting resources for it. This will also open up a new graveyard to res at. The most important thing to remember here is that you do not res at the graveyard closest to the flag you died at, but rather the next closest graveyard. This will be explained in full later in our guide. For the purpose of this guide, we will assume that you are starting on the Alliance side of the map. All strategies and instructions remain the same for a Horde side start, simply flip your map around. Upon entering the battleground, it is not necessary to arrange your groups in any specific manner. Assign 1 person to Lighthouse. This person will tap that node and stay there to defend it for the duration of the match. There are 2 different strategies that we will utilize here. Our first strategy is to send everyone to Waterworks. It's a good idea to also send 1 player towards the hill, preferably a druid or hunter for tracking, and call out if any enemies are incoming to Lighthouse. Have 1 person assigned to capping the flag at Waterworks, preferably a rogue, and have the rest of your team push through and try to hold back the enemy from interrupting the cap. Ring of Frost, Frost Nova, Fears, and Howling Blast are all very useful here. If the cap is successful, have your spinners sit on the flag to keep the opposing team from capping, and begin calling out targets to focus fire them down and clean up the node. Once the enemies start dying, or begin pulling off on their own, send at least 1 member of your team back to Lighthouse to prepare for an assault there. If the cap is not successful, utilize your spinner to prevent the enemy from capping and begin burning down targets. This becomes a battle of endurance and power, and most teams will be prioritizing survival. Try to save cooldowns until the enemy healers are running low on mana, and use them to make a power surge to burn down your opposing team. Keep a close watch on your own healers to keep them peeled so that they can keep you alive. Secure the node and leave 1 healer at Lighthouse with 1 DPS and 1 healer and DPS at Waterworks. Depending on the strength of your opposing team, defense should do one of 2 things. Either push towards Mine to keep them contained, or set up between Lighthouse and Waterworks, preferably across the river and on the overlook. This allows an easy vantage point of the opposing team's actions, as well as the ability to provide quick support to defend any assault the opposing team may make. In our second strategy, we will be sending 3 players to the mine, riding around the hill to avoid detection. This should be 2 DPS and 1 healer. Send 1 player to Lighthouse to cap and defend the flag, and the other 6 members of your team to Waterworks. Priority at Waterworks is to keep the opposing team from capping. Your assault on mines will either relieve the pressure off of Waterworks, allowing for a cap, or will result in a cap of mines. While mines in Lighthouse are thought to be difficult to defend because of their distance, they can be much easier in some cases. This is especially true if the team you are facing is doing much more damage than your own. Your best bet at a win in that situation is to out-strategize and compensate by a very strong defense. In either situation, you will want to leave 1 healer and 1 DPS at each flag once they have capped, and have the rest of your team defend. Be very careful not to overcompensate on defense. If you own Lighthouse, remember that you spawn very near the flag, and will have time to respond to it more quickly. Mines will be weaker because you will be spawning at the Lighthouse. In Battle for Gilneas, you do not spawn at the graveyard closest to the flag that you died at, but rather the next closest graveyard. If you die here, you will res at the Lighthouse if you own it, or at your original spawn point. The location seems to change randomly, and it is unconfirmed if this is due to your exact location on the map when you die, or if it's just a bit buggy. If you die here, you will res at your spawn point. This makes manually resing an option, and it should be utilized to defend a flag. Killing an enemy is never as important as keeping them from capping your node. If you die at mines while you own Waterworks, you will spawn at Waterworks. If you die at Waterworks while you own the mine, but not Lighthouse, you will spawn at the mine. It is a rather complicated system, but it's important to know where you're spawning at so you can understand our next topic, rotating resers. When we rotate resers, we are ensuring the defense of a flag while not weakening the defense of another flag too severely. The best example is assuming that we are either fighting for waterworks before it has been assaulted by either team, or defending it once we have secured it. When you die at waterworks, you will be spawning back at lighthouse or your spawn point as stated before. Call out your res timer and make the decision to send the person on defense at lighthouse across to waterworks to assist. This decision will be based on many factors: your res timer, the score, time left in the battle, pressure on the node itself, and location of any rogues and or feral druids. Make this decision using your best judgment. By rotating resers, we are maintaining control over both nodes with as little risk as possible. Once 2 nodes have been secured, it is generally an 8 to 10 minute fight to finish the battle. Use good judgment when calling incoming to avoid overcompensation at any one node, and always be aware of your teammates and their locations. As in any battleground, tunnel vision can be game-breaking and should be avoided at all times. Thank you for watching our guide, and we hope you will find it useful. As always, feedback is welcome and can be left as a comment or sent to the provided email address. This is MissRBGenius wishing you good luck and short res timers.